Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to take our first look at the brand new, well, kind of new, maybe refurbished, either way. We're here to take a look at No Time to Explain, and put it through its paces in PvP. And I do say first look, because this weapon does have a catalyst that I will be working on unlocking very soon. Once I do get that catalyst applied, we're going to be sure to stop back and revisit this weapon, and see how much it affects its performance. If you don't happen to have this weapon yet, you can snag your very own by finishing the main campaign in Beyond Light. And No Time to Explain is actually a returning Destiny 1 weapon that was rebranded once already in that iteration of the game. We initially got our hands on this weapon in the form of the Stranger's Rifle, which was gifted to us by none other than the Exo Stranger, Elsie Bray, on completion of Destiny 1's main campaign. But later on in the initial game's life cycle, it returned to us in exotic form as No Time to Explain. And here in Beyond Light, we get our hands on it once again. And while it shares the same base model as the original gun, the functionality of the weapon is quite different. So we'll dive into both the capability and effectiveness of our new exotic weapon, and put it through its paces and see if it can hold its own in the Crucible. And if at any point during the course of this video you find it useful, helpful, or enjoyable, leaving it a like really goes a long way in helping it reach more people. And consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel to make sure that you don't miss an upload as I cover the content coming at us with Beyond Light. So without further ado, let's get into it with a look at the weapon's stats and damage numbers. Alright, No Time to Explain is an exotic kinetic high-impact pulse rifle shooting at 340 rounds per minute with 24 rounds in the magazine. For the stats, No Time to Explain has above average marks in all categories when compared to other weapons in the same archetype. Checking in with Light.gg for the hidden stats, we do have an aim assist value of 45, which is the best in the archetype, provided you don't figure in Vigilance Wing. But we also have a bounce intensity of 10 and a recoil direction that will cause the burst to pull slightly to the left. The intrinsic trait is Rewind Again, stating that precision shots and shots against combatants slowed or frozen by stasis will be returned to the magazine. The weapon's exotic perk is Time Slip. At 10 stacks of Rewind Again, a small portal will open shooting bullets from an alternate timeline version of the weapon. Precision hits extend the portal's duration. And this is pretty much just a fancy way of saying that once we build up 10 stacks, we get an automated turret. And also, No Time to Explain will fire in full auto. Hopping in to take a look at the weapon's damage numbers and functionality, No Time to Explain hits for 36 points of damage on a crit, and 22 points of damage to the body, giving us an optimal time to kill of 0.67 seconds requiring 5 crits and 1 body shot, and a body shot time to kill of approximately 1.4 seconds with 9 shots landed. And do take note of the fact that with each crit we land, those bullets are being refunded 1 for 1. And also, each crit is giving us 1 stack of Rewind Again. This same principle also applies to a frozen target. Ammo gets refunded, stacks are gained. And as you can see, once we hit 10 stacks, our Time Chasm turret is deployed automatically with a 15-second duration. Every crit that you land with No Time to Explain will extend this duration by 1 second. Then for the turret, it's going to fire 3-round bursts of hit scan projectiles at 1-second intervals, with each bullet doing 11 points of damage. And I'm not really sure what that slight pause in the firing is all about there. Unless this is just something that is tied to the catalyst and unlocking it clears this issue up. Because the catalyst is supposed to increase the frequency at which shots are fired. But we'll find out soon enough. For the physical range, No Time to Explain is going to be doing full damage from 37 meters in. Past that, we will be seeing damage fall off. And we do see our turret engaging from this distance also. So just out of curiosity's sake, I stepped back to around 50 meters, and the turret began engaging from that distance too. So evidently this thing has a good bit of range on it. But I took a little spin around the block, regained line of sight, and the turret did not begin engaging, even when I started the fire. Further testing is going to have to be required in this department also, but now, onto the weapon's performance. Overall, I'm quite pleased with how No Time to Explain handled itself in PvP. First off, the base stats are strong, and they're noticeably strong. I've spent a good bit of time with the high-impact pulse rifle archetype, and I gotta say, in my opinion, I think No Time to Explain performs as good, if not better, than any of them. The handling feels very fluid and smooth, especially for a high-impact pulse. The reload speed is also pretty quick given the weapon's archetype, and overall No Time to Explain felt like a very stable weapon, and that little bit of recoil deviation that it does have, I barely noticed. Then the accuracy provided from the range stat and the good marks and aim assist do a very nice job in exaggerating a target's hitbox. And I mean, this was to the point where I was accidentally landing a few shots during damage testing. And since I'm a player with less than perfect aim, this extra bullet magnetism on PC really made No Time to Explain feel quite reliable. Then I gotta say that ammo regeneration on landed crits is gold. Any ammo regenning capability on a weapon is much appreciated, but the fact that the bullets are being refunded 1 for 1 is extremely nice, especially since we have a smaller magazine size of 24. This really limits the amount of times you're going to have to disengage from a gunfight to load another clip in, and it also gives you the ability to seamlessly transition between multiple enemy targets. Then the physical range of No Time to Explain at 37 meters is quite good when compared to weapons like Cold Denial, which we found to have a base range of around 29 meters, or Redrix, who is hitting for full damage from 33 meters. This makes No Time to Explain a pretty good option for engagements anywhere inside of scout rifle range. Then the turret firing hit scan bullets was a very nice surprise. I suppose I could have deduced this from the description of the perk, but I really expected it to perform like an Arc Soul with those travel time projectiles. But since it's not, that means the damage from the shots cannot be dodged or evaded. Plus that 15-second extendable time frame feels pretty generous when all things are considered. And next, I gotta say, I like the sights on this gun. I was happy to see that it didn't have those two big thick vertical posts like most high impact pulse rifles have. You do get a little bit of the weapon frame in there, but for the most part, this sight is pretty much open. Just a few minor drawbacks to touch on. First off, this is a high impact pulse rifle, meaning it's hard hitting but slow firing. So, not really the best option if you're someone who wants to play in close to the enemy team for most of the match. And the only other thing I really can complain about is that particle effect at the end of the barrel. It's just a little annoying. I mean, aesthetically it looks cool, but it can be a shade distracting. And while it's not a major issue or a complete deal breaker for the weapon, I'd certainly rather it was gone. So for the verdict, and as it sits right now, I think No Time to Explain is a pretty solid option for PvP. And like I said earlier, we're gonna have another look at this weapon once I get that catalyst unlocked. And we'll see how much it's really gonna boost its performance in-game. Plus I'll be sure to add any quirks or added benefits that I found to using this gun in that review also. But just looking at the base version of this weapon, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's a really good gun, and it's one that I would have no reservations about picking up and using in PvP. So, since you made it to this point in the video, if you did enjoy it, please remember to leave it a like, and consider subscribing to the channel to catch more Beyond Light content made by yours truly in the very near future. If you'd like to catch me live, you can look for Ironworker814 on Twitch, drop me a follow, and you'll get notified whenever I hop on. And if you'd want to contact me, simply comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. And with all that being said, I'd like to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out this weapon review. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.